Hello and welcome to Transformation Now. Hi, I'm Rita, rocker, speaker, author, trainer with SoaringHigher.rocks, and I have a really special program for you today, interviewing these two beautiful women and all of the steps that they've taken to create amazing lives for themselves and women all over the country or possibly all over the world. So I'm very excited to do that today. We're going to be talking to Terri Niedan and to Dr. Kristal Vance, and they are with a couple of really amazing businesses. Now, Terri and I are Mrs. Nebraska pageant sisters from a while back, and just a very amazing time. Our topic today is empowered women stepping into their purpose. And when Terri and I talked about that the other day, I was amazed because my new book is The Miracle in Your Mirror, Pursuing Your Passion or Your Purpose at Any Age. And so this is something that the three of us can really resonate with, and you will too. And the goal of these programs actually is educational and inspirational for entrepreneurs. Most of the programs have been about people who were able to overcome obstacles that maybe seemed too great for them at the time, and just hope-filled, giving how-tos, techniques, things like that that will help you and benefit you. So first of all, Terri Niedan is the founder of Ideal Health Nebraska in Lincoln and North Platte. It's all about health and wellness and actually transforming lives. And she has some great experiences that she will share with you, and just how people will benefit from that and really see their lives transform so they can pursue their purpose and their passion. So this will be a really exciting time there to hear what Terri has to say. Dr. Kristal Vance has not only lost more weight than she now weighs, which is awesome, 160 pounds, but she's using her story now as a light to others who feel broken in their health and in their lives, because so many times how we feel and how we look greatly affects our self-esteem, our self-image, how we act and react to other people, and where we get along in life, our careers even. It all is tied together. So we're going to learn how to get back to the basics as she shares with us with great nutrition and the drop system. She'll tell you about that. Okay, so Dr. Kristal sits on the Wellness Council and is a member of the Partner Co. America Partners Council. Now, this company is worldwide, not just national. Yes. So you know that this is a very reputable, honorable, excellent company. In September, she received the Vision Award at the Partner Co. conference held in Orlando, Florida, where these ladies really had an awesome time just learning and growing. Yeah. Okay, with Terri Niedan again, she previously did career and life experiences, or tell me how you did the career and life experiences to get to your new adventure that influenced the decision to create the business and begin this new partnership. So what that basically, Terri's had a very interesting life, a variety of things that she's done, and then she's kind of stepped into her own with her business. So in 2017, Terri's entrepreneurial roots and passion for health and wellness led her to venture out into her own business of Ideal Health in Lincoln. And then in 2020, she created Ideal Health in North Platte, Nebraska as well. Then in August of 2024, she partnered with her cousin, Shauna Niedan, who will be in our next program, and joined the Partner Co. as a brand member, which is where she met this awesome lady, Dr. Kristal Vance. So they all recently returned from a convention in Orlando, Florida, 5,000 people. So Terri, do you want to share a little bit about your experiences in your past? And you can go back to your life if you want a little bit, and just where you are now, because I know some of your past, and you have an awesome story.
Thank you, Rita. And I'm very happy to be here. So I'm an entrepreneurial child at birth. My dad was an entrepreneur, and so it was an easy fit. I didn't realize I was going to be an entrepreneur until it just kind of went that way. I was born with a atrial septal defect in my heart, so I've been a heart patient from birth. At age 10, I had open heart surgery and received a clean bill of health. So health and wellness has been a part of my life all throughout my life. Stress gets in the way. In 2007, I went into atrial fib and had my heart shocked back into rhythm. And at that time, I was consulted by my cardiologist that maybe you should go on just get fitter, just get healthier, and go on a diet plan of sorts. And so I found Ideal Protein, I was working for a chiropractor at the time, ran that program through him, and became so passionate about it that in 2017, as Rita said, I went out on my own and formed Ideal Health Lincoln, where hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people have had success with the Ideal Protein protocol. In 2020, North Platte is my hometown, and people in North Platte were needing something so much because the Ideal Protein clinic had closed there, and one of my dearest friends just was not going to let it go. She wanted me to come back there and open a clinic, so I did. It's a great product. I've had lots of success with it, but I needed more. And my cousin had been talking to me for quite a while saying, join my company, this would be a good fit. And I kind of just blew her off, honestly. I just blew her off. And finally, in August, I agreed to go to the conference in Orlando and see what it was all about, and I joined Partner Co. And it just is a great marriage with Ideal Protein products because they have over 80 products, some being weight loss, some being, just lots of different products, over 80 different ones. And so that's really where my journey I kind of went through that quickly, but health and wellness have been part of my life, my entire life. Mm-hmm. Not that I sought it out, it was God's plan for me to be where I was when I was. My 4 P's in my life, as I have previously mentioned to you, is purpose, passion, perseverance, and paying it forward. And let me tell you, I've experienced all those to the max, mm-hmm. To the max. So that's a little bit about me. That's a little bit about where I'm at. I'm just starting this journey with Partner Co., and I've learned so much in the last couple of months. The 5,000 people at that conference, a lot of times when you go to a conference, you're feeling like, oh my gosh, that is my competition. Mm-hmm. But the minute I walked in, these people embraced me. Like, where have you been? We've been waiting for you. Dr. Kristal is one of these people. But it's a great company where we celebrate each other, we cheer each other on, we do what we can to build each other up, and that's really important to me, besides just running a business, is being a part of a community.
And it's so important because a lot of times, and probably happens more with women, it's like, oh, they're my competition. And yet when you talked to me on the phone the other day about that and how everybody is there to have each other's back, help each other, build each other yes. up, knowing that the products are awesome, the whole program is awesome, and so people can really help each other. You said pay it forward as the last P, and
yes.
and you're doing that.
Yes.
And I know you have because I know your heart. But it's just so important to do that. So. And I think it's so awesome because I could hear the excitement and the enthusiasm in your voice when you said, I just felt at home, like, where have I been? And for all of us, when we get that feeling inside, we know that's the right place. Mm-hmm. Is, okay.
The purpose.
This is the purpose that God put me on this earth for. And now I'm here, and He and I are going to work together to make it happen.
Right.
And transform
Didn't
lives.
know how, didn't know where, didn't know when, didn't know any of that, but it all comes together for the greater good.
Yes, and that is just so exciting. I'm really happy for both of you here. Okay, so Dr. Kristal, past influences in your life. I know that you live in the Orlando, Florida area.
I do.
I know they got hit pretty hard too recently, so, but we get on and upward. As I say, we dust our knees off and we get back in the race when we have to. So many know her from the Circle of Health, where she began a community after her own journey with the hormone body balance drops, which I want you to tell us more about. And then also after 28 years of working with patients as a functional medicine chiropractor, awesome, I love that. She had lost her own self to her health, experiencing autoimmune issues and hormones that were wrecked. We understand that one too. Where, you know, the immune system is completely attacking itself, basically, which is not good. And the body sets off reactions that can destroy the normal functions. That could be like rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, MS, celiac, many, many, many more things. So especially with the hormones and the autoimmune, just go ahead and talk to us about a little bit about that. Maybe a little more description, but then also what are you doing and how are you helping people?
Yeah, well, thanks for having us here. It is incredible to see how all the pieces just align. And it's like if someone's hearing this, there's a reason they're hearing this today. It's not by accident. And that's really how I am. I feel like that is my purpose, is just to continue to take healthier steps. And every step I take, I get to meet someone else new and incredible that seems to be on the same journey. And it is, when you said, where have you been? It really is how it feels with so many people. But my story begins, I was 5 years old and I had my kindergarten vaccinations. And right after that, I presented with an insult of the vaccinations. And so 5 years old, my hair started to fall out. And at that time, they really weren't diagnosing things. I mean, because, you know, I'm only like 20 years old. They weren't really diagnosing autoimmune issues. But now we know, you know, if it was to receive a diagnosis, they would diagnose autoimmune. And so I've dealt with that my entire life, 5 years old to now 50. And the only way that we truly inside of the healthcare world know how to help with autoimmune is with steroids, because it's an inflammatory state. And so nothing else makes a difference with autoimmune except when you can release or remove inflammation. So there's a couple ways we can do that. We know we can do it with medication. So for me, it was steroids. And for many others, that is really, you know, the only route that we know to do. But there's a negative thing with steroids as well. It led me to a life of weight issues and the things that come on the other side of steroids. So my hormones have been a mess my entire life. And, you know, as a young lady and as a woman, my cycles were like, I never knew what to expect and painful. And it led me to an early hysterectomy and not having kids. And so this could be such a story of sadness. Yet I know that God is always in the details, and my mess can become my message. And so about 10 years ago, I decided that what I was doing health-wise obviously wasn't working. I'm like, okay, I'm in chiropractic, I'm doing everything naturally, and now I am over 300 pounds. My autoimmune issues are worse than they've ever been. I've dieted, I've done every single diet, because the only thing I was looking at was the scale. Right? I still, like, it was like, well, if I could get my weight under control, then everything else would be better. And so that's what I always focused on. And I pretty much dieted myself I dieted myself fat. And when I say the word fat, a lot of people are triggered by that, just by that word alone. They're like, I'm like, no, really. But what I want us all to become is just as triggered over if I was to say, I'm unhealthy. I'm not triggered by I'm unhealthy as much as I'm triggered by I am fat.
Me too.
And that's honestly, I feel like that's what needs to change. Because if I focused on getting healthy, I wouldn't be fat. And so that was what changed 10 years ago. I decided to start focusing on how I got there instead of the side effect that I wasn't liking. And what it all shaped down to was my body wasn't producing hormones correctly. And there were two things that were messing that up. One was the years of steroid use. It wasn't serving me. It really wasn't making any changes, but I was continuing to do the same thing and expect different results, which we know that definition is insanity.
Yes.
And then the other thing was the amount of sugar that I was taking in. And so there was different programs that I had used in the past that I had seen really great results on. Protein, you know, when I changed my menu to eating high amounts of protein, which that's where it ties in so beautifully with Ideal Protein, because you are focused on removing sugar when you're using the Ideal Protein system. Now, what ended up transpiring is about 6 years ago, I started to eating just real food, proteins, veggies, fruits, nuts, seeds, but I removed anything that broke down to sugar. And then I paired these drops that I had heard about, and they're a two-part system. One was homeopathy, and I love homeopathy. It's such an incredible science.
Yes, it is.
And then the other bottle was adaptogenic herbs and vitamins. And I started to use these drops with that low glycemic menu, and all of a sudden it was like this chemical reaction changed in my body. For the first time in my life, I had a metabolism. I mean, since 5 with steroids, I certainly never had a metabolism. You might as well have said Santa Claus, because it was about the same. I was like, what is a metabolism? That's not for real. But I also realized all of this time that I had been struggling, thinking I was broken. You know, you mentioned that when in the introduction where I felt broken. Like I felt like no one had the answers for me, and I was searching outside of myself. Like sleuthing, like it was like Sherlock Holmes, like I'm gonna figure this out. When in actuality, it was inside of me. Like what I'm putting inside of me was actually the answer. So when I stopped putting things that turned to toxins in my body, and I started to support myself nutritionally, everything changed. And that was 6 years ago. I have an entirely different body 10 years later. I feel better. I look younger, there's no doubt about that. And that's just inspiring to other people. I've become where people look at me and go, what are you doing? I want that.
Yes.
And so to be an example is my purpose. That is my purpose, to be an example of what someone else can do for their own health. So
That is excellent.
it's become fun.
And I think it's so powerful when we can become an example, you know, like both of you are an example to others, that there is hope.
There is
There is a way out of the mess.
And I feel like God always gives us a platform once we find our purpose. The platform reveals itself. I never expected Partner Co. to be where I would step onto a stage, but it's taken me from a small town in Wyoming to all over the U.S. I just was recently in Italy, and I head next week to Japan. And I'm no one special, but my story gives hope. And so I want whoever can hear that they're not alone. And if they want help, we'll certainly do our best to point them in the right direction.
Yes, both of you. And since I've known Terri for a long time, too, it just seems like, you know, and I know your heart to help people as well, in both of you. And we all three have that heart that we want to show people that, you know, my life has been really, really rough since I was a kid, too. And yet, you know, sometimes if people have heard my testimony, they go, really, really? It's like, yeah, but we have a plan and a purpose. And I remember when I was still Mrs. Nebraska, and my husband had died during my term. And that was a hard year. But 1 month after he had passed, I was speaking at a large Christian women's conference. And a couple of the women came up to me afterwards and they said, well, your message wasn't at all what we expected. And I said, well, what were you expecting? Oh, we thought you were going to talk, you know, the waves, you get it, you know, all the foo-foo fancy stuff. And I said, no, that's not what I've been called to do. I've been called to help people. If they fall down, they get knocked down. And I've literally been knocked down many times. you rise up, you dust your knees off, you get back in the race, and you go forward.
Yeah.
And we have that heart. And I would much rather hear ladies like you and share your experiences and your successes than to read a bunch of books by a bunch of different people who maybe have 3 degrees behind their name, but they have not actually experienced it.
Right.
Education is critical, as you know, and using that. But then if I have to choose between the two, I will definitely say I'm following her. Look what she's done. She had faith. God put her where she was supposed to be, and now gangbusters. Yeah. So I just love that.
The common thing is we're all very faith-filled women. All 3 of us here, and your next guest, my cousin Shauna. And I saw it at the conference. Very faith-filled, not religion, not any of that, just good, loving Christian people, men and women both. And
yes.
To embrace, 5,000 people, to embrace each other, and that blew me away. Honestly, that blew me away, because I did not expect that walking in. And the Chosen had a conference right next door to us of that 5,000 people. So that was kind of a neat thing too.
Was that a sign or what?
That was that.
Jesus is walking at you. You're like, wait a minute, where am
I
I?
know. Oh my gosh.
When I know something is connecting, I get goosebumps. I don't know if you do. I
just
get goosebumps. Yeah. Because of that connection.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stories to tell and go after them and lift each other up. So that's great. Yeah. So you created your business. Basically, you had a vision for doing more and then got into the products.
Yeah, well, I was working as a chiropractor, working my 40 to 50 patients a day. Ooh. And I had done that for a long time. And yet, as you were talking, I think sometimes we get this imposter syndrome, especially as women. We compare and we don't think we're enough, and we might play small. And here I was trying to teach people how to be healthy, and I myself didn't feel it. Mm-hmm. And so you almost steal your own value in the world, because you're like, I'm an imposter. You just don't think you're enough. And that's such bunk. That's how the enemy keeps us small, and it's how he keeps us from stepping onto the platform.
Yes.
And you
nailed it.
There's too many people that have a story that need to step up and share it, because there's other people that your story will inspire that my story doesn't. But just you sharing that, I can't imagine to go through a pageant that you receive the title of Mrs. and then to have that. What a story you have. And people need to hear it. And I love that you have this platform. You need a bigger platform. We all need a bigger platform, because we've got something to share.
We do. And just quickly, because we have a few minutes and I want to get a little more information, but I've been through a lot of domestic violence, and I've been homeless, and I did drugs and alcohol too, because I hated myself. I never felt like I was enough, the imposter syndrome that you said.
Yeah.
So those are all things, that I'm working right now with ladies who, it's a good news jail and prison ministry called Global Community, and it's incarceration and addictions. And so, that's something God opened up the door for. I said, Lord, I'll go wherever you want, And I love just talking to both of you today, because I really believe that God's got a connection. God has a connection here. So this is awesome. So then, Terri, share any more about overcoming obstacles, because I know some of your personal ones that you haven't really shared yet. We've got right at 3 minutes. So just take a minute to.
Well, some of the obstacles besides health.
Do you want to share anything else about life, getting to your goal, your passion in the midst of it all?
Well, it's not, I didn't have a plan. That's the thing. I didn't have a plan. I know what I loved. I knew what I was passionate about. I know what I wanted to achieve, but I didn't know how I was going to get there. And there were too many things that held me down, way too many things. Amen. Like a bad marriage, like being fake. I was walking the walk, but I wasn't talking the talk. As sometimes, you know, our Mrs. Nebraska sisterhood is still very healthy and goes on, and people will ask you about your marriage. Well, you know, I have failed, or I have learned, one of the two. But between the health and the wellness and the mental, physical, emotional, that's where I'm able to help people just by listening. I don't have a magic pill. I mean, we've got a lot of products and stuff through Partner Co. and whatnot, but the biggest thing I think I can bring to the table is just listening and being there for people and supporting, because that's what has gotten me through everything.
Excellent. And that's just the thing, as we wrap up in the last minute and a half, is that, yes, people can look at us, they know we're real, they know we've been there, done that, and, you know, the victory in it. So for both of you, you know, tell me just a, you know, half minute each, like about Partner Co. as far as impacting lives, or just going beyond the things that, where they are now. Any vision in your future?
Oh, wow. Well, I think what you just said there's no plan. The plan is right now to impact 1 billion people. We've already hit 1 million with what we're doing. At first, we started too small a goal. Now we're headed towards 1 billion, and it's totally doable. I just want to continue to share my story for people to realize that they're not broken. They can get their health back. And we're going to continue to change the world one person at a time and get their health back.
Yes.
So that they're healthy and they don't have to worry about whether they're fat or not.
Terri, about 15 seconds.
And once you do the body, the mind and spirit all come together. We're a triangle, mind, body, soul.
That is awesome. Yes, body, mind, it's all connected. Okay, for both of you, just quickly, how can they reach you?
DrKristalVance.com. It's Kristal with an I. You can blame my father. But that's my website, and you're more than welcome to reach out on there, answer any questions.
And I'll give you my phone number because I have 2 clinics, 402-430-9754 for any of the Partner Co. supplements, and we could talk way different long lengths there, but that's how you reach me.
Okay, thank you so much, and their information will be on the video. God bless you all. Join us.